Hello, reporter room investigators. Come on in, come on in. Today we're talking about the Suzanne Morphew case. We're going to be talking about Barry Morphew. Sorry, he was arrested again, according to law enforcement, and we're going to be talking about the mysterious passing of Suzanne. We're going to be talking about this is one of the craziest cases I've ever heard of. We have a spy pen. We have tranquilizer darts. We have a chipmunk alibi and at least one, if not two, affairs. So Barry Morphew is proven, he is innocent until proven guilty, but this is not a courtroom. I'm not a judge. You're not a judge. So we are going to be talking about this case in terms of Barry Morphew because he's the one that's been arrested. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist, and my job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects and share with you how to do the same thing. If you have not subscribed to Reporter Room, it's free. I cannot get to 50,000 subscribers without your help. So help me out by subscribing. And know that everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Okay, so 10 days after Suzanne was reported missing, law enforcement found this spy pen in a walk-in closet in a master bedroom closet that she shared with her husband, Barry Morphew. And they learned that Suzanne got a spy pen from one of her friends. It's voice activated and it records conversations. Now, Suzanne was using this to catch whether or not Barry Morphew was having an affair. And lo and behold, it actually caught her having the affair. Now, she inadvertently recorded conversations that she was having with a man that she was having an affair with. So come on in and tell me where you are from. It took law enforcement 6 months to figure out who this guy was. It turns out he had a wife and 6 kids in Michigan where he lived. He had never came forward on his own, even after Suzanne disappeared, and he took steps to hide the affair. But once law enforcement came knocking at his door, he did cooperate, provide access to DNA, phone records, and passwords for deleted accounts. Now, once investigators were able to verify his alibi, he was cleared. But was this, a lot of people have wondered, was this the motive of what happened to Suzanne? So let me grab this and let's go through this case. It is absolutely crazy. Okay. So this is Suzanne. She was a mom of 2. She lived in Colorado with her husband. She vanished on Mother's Day. There was something kind of heartbreaking and almost horrifying about the fact that she vanished on Mother's Day of 2020. Now, police initially thought she had disappeared while taking a mountain bike ride. They also were taking a good long look at Barry. This is Barry in better days. And then we got these bizarre clues. We got this weird chipmunk alibi from Barry Morphew. I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. A tranquilizer gun and spy pen. And then we had at least one, if not 2, affairs. So they grew up in the same hometown in Alexandria, Indiana, and they had met in high school. Susan was very popular. She was well liked, and Barry was a star baseball player who was drafted to the Toronto Blue Jays. They began dating after Barry graduated from high school. They got married in 1994, and Barry started a landscaping business, and Suzanne was a school teacher before leaving the job to raise her 2 daughters, which you can see here, Mallory and Macy. So she disappeared on Mother's Day, you guys. And in the wee hours of the morning on May 10th of 2020, Barry left his home outside of Salida, Colorado, to drive to a job site 150 miles away in Broomfield, Colorado. Their daughters, who were away on a camping trip and were making their way home, were, of course, trying to wish their mother a happy Mother's Day. They're texting her, they're calling her, she's not responding. Mallory informs Barry that they're not able to reach Suzanne. Barry eventually speaks to one of their neighbors, gets them to check on Suzanne for him and see if her mountain bike is at the house. And then they find no sign of her. He asks them to call the police. So I think it's very interesting that he makes the neighbor call the police. But instead of heading right home after hearing his wife disappears, Barry drops off a shovel and some other tools for his coworkers at a hotel where he had booked rooms for them and himself. And he doesn't begin driving home until after 6 p.m. This is her mountain bike. You can see here. It is circled, and that is the wheel of the bike and the back tire of the bike, and these are the handlebars. So this is where it was found. I believe it was just thrown over the side. The photo taken from the body cam footage shows Suzanne Morphew's mountain bike being discovered by sheriff's deputies on the side of a cliff off. And it's not that big of a cliff. It's just a, kind of a drop off. Her sunglasses, though, and her hydration backpack were all still inside her car. This probably raised a lot of red flags, combined with the fact that Barry didn't come home when his daughters said they couldn't get hold of their mother. But they thought it had been staged and that Suzanne never really went for a bike ride that Mother's Day morning. So Suzanne Morphew's bike, after investigators removed it from the cliff, she was pretty new at mountain biking. And they found her helmet, but it was roughly a mile away. And they did search. I mean, they were diving, they were looking for her. And they searched local waterways. And the reason they were able to arrest Barry now, because he was arrested at the time and was going to stand trial and then was let go and then rearrested. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. This is a spy pen. This case is crazy. So 10 days after Suzanne disappears, law enforcement finds the spy pen in a walk-in closet in their master bedroom. They learn that Suzanne got this pen from her friend, and it's voice activated, and it records phone conversations. And she was supposed to be catching Barry having an affair, and instead she catches herself. So did Barry know about this boyfriend? It took 6 months for law enforcement to find him. But there is a motive in this case. And this is really on May the 9th, the day before Mother's Day. Records show that Suzanne texted this boyfriend. They were messaging each other 59 times leading up to the moment that they believe that Barry did away with Suzanne. And at one point, Suzanne messaged her boyfriend in this selfie, which investigators have dubbed her last proof of life photo. And you can see the damage to the door that's done in this door. And this is the last proof of life photo that we have of Suzanne. So Barry was out running errands. He sent Suzanne a text at 2:26 telling her that he's on his way home, but he doesn't get a response. He texts again, "Did you leave?" and is again met with silence. Now, I think he may have walked in on her Skyping or talking with her boyfriend. He did away with her and cleaned up the crime scene. But if Barry didn't know anything about Suzanne's affair, what other motive would he have to do away with her? Well, if he didn't know about the affair, one clue might be in this deleted text message that law enforcement found on Barry's cell phone. And it said, "I'm done." This was Suzanne to Barry. "I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly." So a lot of people have wondered and have compared this to the Alex Murdaugh case, where he did away with Maggie for, not wanting to divide the assets because he had some things to hide. But look at this photo. It shows a dark vertical crack along the door frame of the couple's master bedroom door. And investigators showed Barry a photo of the damaged door frame and he explained that the prior owner said it wasn't, they said that they had checked with prior owners. It wasn't there when they had sold the house to the Morphews. And Barry asked if it was the result of an argument. He was asked this by law enforcement or him being locked out. And he said he had no idea what this is from. But I think Suzanne may have tried to lock him out. Investigators believe that Barry may have damaged the door as he was trying to get Suzanne after shooting her with a tranquilizer gun. So this is where we get to the chipmunk alibi. And what you see here is Barry's cell phone pinging all around the property. You can see these little yellow highlights where he was pinging all around the property with that cell phone. So when he was asked about this, Barry said, and I like have to say this with a straight face, he was out shooting chipmunks. He said they were a constant nuisance. And law enforcement thought this phone activity was very unusual. They thought it was Barry chasing Suzanne around, because when you hit someone with or hit an animal, they don't go down right away with a tranquilizer gun. It takes a little bit to get them down. So a lot of people feel like Barry hit her with the tranquilizer gun. She didn't go down right away and was running, and that he was chasing her. The satellite image of the Morphew's home shows those ping that I just showed you. And then we have Barry's truck. Now, Barry told law enforcement that he went to bed around 8 p.m. on May the 9th, but his truck computer records show the truck, seen here in this evidence photo, was put into reverse and backed up toward the house around 9:30 p.m. I think this is when he put Suzanne in the truck. So this is the pivotal piece of evidence. This is a casing. It's a clear plastic needle cap, I guess is a better way to describe it. And it was found in the dryer of Suzanne and Barry Morphew. Now, prosecutors said that this was an important piece of evidence. They believe that Barry Morphew arrived home on May the 9th in the afternoon. He went into the garage. He took the cap off the syringe, loaded a tranquilizer dart. He injected the dart with a chemical that we now know is called BAM, because the chemical from this dart, and the reason they were able to rearrest Barry Morphew, is because these chemicals, the BAM, was found in Suzanne's bone marrow. So they believe that he injected the dart with chemicals and shot Suzanne. And although they failed to find a working tranquilizer gun or the tranquilizer chemicals in the couple's home, and I think this is also very suspicious, Barry told the law enforcement he had no idea how this cap got into the dryer, but admitted he was an experienced tranquilizer dart gun shooter and knows how to load darts with paralyzing chemicals, having used them to illegally sedate deer so he could remove their antlers to sell. His defense lawyers counter this cap. They say it doesn't mean anything because no one could say how long it had been there. Furthermore, they said there's no evidence tying the cap to their client, but I think the jury's going to be very suspicious that the tranquilizer gun is missing. The chemicals to load the tranquilizer gun is missing, but the dart cap is accidentally put into the wash. And these are the text messages from Suzanne. Let's talk about those. So in a slew of text messages between Suzanne and one of her close friends in the months and days leading up to her disappearance reveal that the Morphews' marriage was rocky. There are a few of the texts that show Suzanne's anguish and concerns with her husband Barry. In one text she writes, "I feel no peace when he's here. I would not feel safe alone with him." So I think that is very, very telling. She also texted her friend, "He won't speak of divorce." And on May 6th, of 2020, just days before she disappears, Suzanne texted Barry, "I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure it out." And this is their house. This is like the deer. I mean, I remember, seeing stuff like this in like my great grandparents' house, but I, haven't seen this, I have to say, in my own life from anybody. But the photo shows the deer heads displayed inside the Morphews' home. Investigators told Barry that a tranquilizer dart had been fired in and around the house. They could not explain it. He responded, "The first thing I thought of when I came here and saw the deer in my yard with big horns, like I'm getting them horns. I can tell you exactly what I did. I shoot them. They go to sleep. I cut their horns off. It's totally illegal, but you're going to find tranq darts around my property because I've done that." So Barry has a reason for everything. But then we have all these multiple trash runs of Barry. This is Barry, not just going to one trash can, but multiple. On May 10th, The day Suzanne is reported missing, investigators find Barry Morphew throughout the trash at multiple locations in and around the Broomfield, Colorado, while in town for work. This photo was taken from hotel surveillance, which shows Barry throwing out trash in a dumpster. Barry told investigators that he often dropped trash in accessible bins to avoid paying to have it disposed of in a landfill. So Barry has a good excuse for everything. But why would he have gone to multiple trash sites if he just wanted to illegally dispose of his trash? On top of that, Barry has these scratches on his arm. You can see these clearly look like fingernail marks, little ones here, and then bigger ones here and here. So they believe that there was a physical altercation, that's how the door got cracked. And Barry is arrested and jailed. This is the original mugshot of when they originally arrested him. So Barry was taken to jail nearly a year after Suzanne disappeared. Now, they had not found Suzanne at this point, and that was the big problem. He was charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence and other charges in their arrest affidavit. Prosecutors spelled out that what they believed happened to Suzanne. It became clear that Barry could not control Suzanne's insistence on leaving him, and he resorted to something he had done his entire life: hunt and control Suzanne like he had hunted and controlled animals. The two girls, Macy and Mallory, both stood by Barry during this time. He pled not guilty. But then we got a twist. We got a twist. The charges were dismissed. So this was just like everybody was so upset when the charges were dismissed. You can see his girls here. They're just absolutely thrilled. I think from the girls' point of view, they just can't fathom that their father could do something like this. But on April 19th, just 9 days before he was supposed to stand trial for doing away with Suzanne, under Judge Ramsey Lama, granted the DA's motion. So the district attorney put a motion in to dismiss charges without prejudice. So that meant the prosecution could refile the charges in the future. So here we are in the future, and lo and behold, they finally found what Suzanne's remains. 3 years after she disappeared, on May 10th of 2022, according to the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, they find her. They were located in a search on September 22nd of 2023. They were positively identified as Suzanne Morphew by the El Pasco County coroner on September 27th. And here is Barry's new mugshot, because he got arrested again. Let's look at what law enforcement had to say on this. Come on in. If you're just joining me, tell me where you're from. I am going to check in with chat. But they said, we are here at the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office. We are happy to announce that Barry Morphew has been indicted by a grand jury for his wife's murder. He is back in custody on a $3 million bond. We are proud of our staff and law enforcement partners for never giving up. The Chaffee County Sheriff's Office will not be answering case-sensitive questions at this time. Please see the press release put out by the 12th Judicial District Attorney, Ann Kelly. And then they go into the press release. But I want to stick with our story because this does have so many twists and turns. And if you are new to this case, it could take a little bit to catch up with everything. So he's charged with doing away with Suzanne a second time. This time is worse because now they have Suzanne, and they were able to match the chemicals in Suzanne's bone marrow to BAM. And let me just tell you what that is. Let me pull that up next. Okay, so I think this is absolutely huge. New details emerge, and so BAM is an acronym for 3 different sedatives. It's anesthetics. It's butofanol, azaparone, and metdopamine. This is according to Dr. Kevin Fitzgerald. He said, we don't use it in general practice in a small animal practice. He said, I've used it on wildlife for like the Denver Zoo in Mongolia, when you're trying to immobilize wildlife to put a radio collar on or to pull blood or do testing for different diseases. According to the indictment, the coroner's office determined the COD for Suzanne, the manner of her being done away with, as follows: homicide by unspecified means in the setting of, I'm not even going to try to say all of these again, I'm just going to say BAM intoxication. It's an anesthetic, and so anesthetics are always risky because you're slowing down the heart and respiration. Denver police responded. Well, let's talk about the indictment. The indictment said ultimately the prescription records, this is huge, you guys. The prescription records show that when Suzanne Morphew disappeared, only one private citizen living in the entire area of the state had access to BAM. And who was that private citizen? Well, it was Barry Morphew. So records that give leeway, hope to look, say you've got to go through a lot of steps to get through to that conclusion. So I don't think they took this lightly, and I don't think they're taking it lightly. So I think that is a huge problem for Barry, in my opinion. And there is Suzanne, and this is Suzanne and Barry together. And this is Barry's mugshot. So let me say hello to chat. Come on in. Tell me where you are from. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for going through that today. I wanted to go through that because a lot of people, we don't know that much about that on this channel. We have not been doing the Morphew case, but I do want to cover it because I do think it is very interesting. This actually was all occurring before I had a YouTube channel. But I do think it's interesting. And it turns out Barry has an ex-girlfriend that is now speaking out. Let me pull that up. Okay, let me take this down. So this is, her name is Shoshana. I don't even think I have a picture of her here. Let's see. She said she fell for Barry Morphew after his wife's disappearance and has ended the relationship. She said, obviously, this is my worst fear coming true, that he could be responsible for Suzanne's. She's 55 now. So let me see if I can pull up a picture of Shoshana. Let's see. They are not letting me do it without a subscription. Okay, here she is. So my source on this is Law and Crime. So she got caught carrying mysterious cardboard box away from his former home. So she was suspected of having a relationship with Barry Morphew. Remember, Suzanne thought he was having an affair. She was also having at least an emotional affair. I don't know if it was a physical one. But according to the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, Shoshana Louise Dark of Salida was charged with second-degree criminal trespass after the property owners of the former Morphew residence observed a female enter their property, which was marked no trespassing on September 27th. So that is her mugshot. She has a mugshot now, too. The female was subsequently identified as Shoshana and is accused of approaching the home via a long driveway leading to the front door and removing a package. Investigators reviewed several different home security recordings and verified the information provided by the homeowner. The investigators obtained an arrest warrant for Shoshana Dark and took her into custody without incident in the Maysville area on September 28th. She was booked into the Chaffee County Detention Center. Criminal trespass is a Class 3 misdemeanor, and under Colorado law, such crimes are generally punished by 6 months in jail or a fine of $750. According to the arrest warrant, a security system automatically alerts the property owner when anyone approaches the former Morphew home. You can see she is right there on the security camera. The property's current owner texted the sheriff's office investigator that the system issued an alert. FYI, this person came on the property today. Not sure if they were with you or not. The current owner said in the text, can't see a face. You can see here, you can see her better here. The investigator reminded the judge via the arrest warrant affidavit that he was very familiar with the property and can clearly identify it in the photo provided. The first image did not clearly show the individual whose presence triggered the automatic alert. So that would be, this is the first image. Can't really see who it is. But the second image, you can see who it is. And it's Shoshana Dark. This person, the current property owner, told the sheriff department in a subsequent text. The investigators said he recognized the face from prior law enforcement contacts as Shoshana Dark. The affidavit said that Barry Mophew was out on bond, living in a property in close proximity to the Puma Path home he used to own, and that Shoshana worked for a real estate group cleaning homes owned by the same people who owned the property where Barry Morphew was staying. This is when he was awaiting trial the first time. So what was she really trying to get? The current owner, just imagine you're the current owner and you have people coming onto your property like this. Investigators subsequently obtained surveillance footage, allegedly clearly showing Dark walking down the driveway east toward the residence. From there, she's alleged to have been caught on video jogging on the driveway eastbound, so she's running now, leaving the view of the cameras, last seen headed toward the front door, and ultimately entering the view of the camera headed west on the driveway, carrying what appears to be a package, a cardboard box, under her left arm. She was issued a $500 personal recognitions bond, and this is according to court documents. According to the amended complaint filed on May 18th of 2021, Barry Morphew was charged with first-degree tampering with a deceased person, tampering with physical evidence, possession of a dangerous weapon, and attempting to influence a public servant. His case is ongoing. So I'd love to know what Suzanne grabbed and why she was actually there. Let me check in with chat. I do want to say hello to chat. Let me know if you think Shoshana was trying to help Barry. Put a 1 in the chat. If you think Shoshana was not trying to help Barry, put a 2 in the chat. So she spoke out more recently. Let me see. And I'm just wondering if she's, coming to terms with the fact that he did do it or trying to distance herself from it. Let's see where we are. Isn't Barry trying to sue? I don't know if he's trying to sue now or not. He could be. I think he was trying to sue after getting arrested the first time, but I think that's all going to go away now that they found Suzanne. He's been indicted by a grand jury, so it's going to be really hard for him, in my opinion, to prove a lawsuit. I think that's going to go away. When he, has been indicted a second time, and this chemical that was found inside the series of chemicals, 3 chemicals, all linked back to the only person who had access to these were Barry Morphew. I think that's really yeah, he does. Delana says, I think Barry's case was dismissed on that suit last year. Well, he filed suit after it was dismissed. That's my understanding. Yeah, please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for modding today, Njaz and Brother Mike. Kathleen says, I don't get why people don't just get a divorce. Yeah, I don't get it either. Hi, Holly. Donna said, Barry's lawsuit dismissed September of 2024. However, the judge said prosecutors acted poorly in the case. Yeah, and I think that's why the DA ultimately dropped the charges. And they did it without, they were allowed to refile if they wanted to, but they did behave badly. That's what was my understanding also. Just like we always thought. Yeah, a lot of people always thought Barry got away with it and I mean, I thought so too. Amelia said, interested in discussing this case and other cases Oh, yeah, we have a reporter room Facebook group. Lisa said maybe used when a horse needs surgery. Well, yeah, it's three things. And Barry said he used it for deer to cut off their antlers. Welcome, Lori. Suzanne was beautiful. You're right. So this is Suzanne. Let me put her. She is really beautiful. And it's really sad that, that that it came down to this. So Lori put a 1, Nathaniel put a 1, Mary Ann put a 1. Whoop. Crafty put a 1, Midwest put a 1, Tom put a 1, Lori put a 1. Texas Life 1, Kathleen 1, Delana 1, and Jazz 1. Brother Mike 1. This is our head mod. And Jazz, this is our other head mod, Brother Mike. I am going to be covering this case now until the trial. I do think that it's, what happened is really crazy. Tom said Barry's narcissism wouldn't allow her to leave the relationship. Yeah, and a lot of people feel like it's kind of similar to what we saw happen in the Alex Murdaugh case when he did away with Maggie. Right around the time Maggie was trying to leave, and Alex Murdaugh was an attorney. In a very small town in South Carolina, and right around the time she's trying to leave, he would have heard that she was trying to leave, in my opinion. And when she was trying to leave, that's why he did away with her and Paul. I think Barry had a lot to hide. He couldn't go through a divorce. Probably we're going to find out there's some tax issues, potentially, allegedly, in my opinion. And that he just he couldn't let go. He couldn't let go. Holly said Barry bought that trank from his home state. He brought it. D says 1. Destiny said, oops, I had it paused. What was the question of the hour? Oh, just back up the chat if you want to back it up. Crazy to try to help him. You're talking about the girlfriend. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know why Shoshana decided she was going to get involved. I think, hi, Destiny. I think that it was crazy. I don't know why she would do that. I do want to say thank you to our producers, Njaz, Sasha Angel, George Brown Pepper, and Christy Ballantyne. And thank you to our channel members. If you would like to have your name appear just like this during my live streams and also during my regular videos, you can hit the join button. It's next to the subscribe button, or you can just subscribe. Subscribing is free and helps me out a lot also. So thank you to all of our channel members. I do want to cover this case. I do think that it would be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen next. I have never quite seen a case just like this. She said to the Daily Mail, this is Shoshana, she said, obviously, this is my worst fear coming true, that he could be responsible. She said in tears after her ex's arrest. She said she's conflicted about Barry Morphew, who she met 5 months after Suzanne disappeared and stuck by him for 4 years. His daughters also stuck by him. So I think that's interesting also. I also want to do super thanks and coffee gratitude from our last live stream, and also gifted channel room memberships. Thank you so much, and Jazz. All right. So Patty says Suzanne survived cancer only to be done away with by her controlling husband. And Holly said Barry didn't get the tranquilizer in Colorado. And then just says, very sad, Patty. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think about this case. I'm curious to get your input. And if you want to help me out, I can't get to 50,000 subscribers without your help. So please consider subscribing, and I will see you on the next one. And by the way, on the Lori Vallow Daybell case, I think I figured out how they did away with Joe Ryan, and in my opinion, because he, was natural causes, and Alex Cox, again, in my opinion. But I'm going to share that with you. I'll schedule that live stream in the next couple of days. But I think I've figured it out. So we'll talk about that, of how they did it. In my opinion, this is going to be some speculation on this one, but I do want to talk about this because I think that case is absolutely bonkers. Very, very crazy. So we're going to talk more about the Lori Vallow Daybell case. I'm also going to do an update on Lily and Jack as soon as we have more updates on that case. So that'll be in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. And always the Brian Kohberger case. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for coming by.